All right. I think we're good. Maybe as people come in as well, Rich, you can hand them out. So before we kind of get started, like just as a kind of warm up, quick poll about the monitoring tools that you use. Who here uses SCOM? All right. And the others are just kind of coming along to hopefully win the Sandcrawler. Anyone here started to use OMS? All right, good. It's useful for me to know because I'll be talking about some of these things later. Who here uses Squared Up? Great. Yeah, there you go. Some customers. That's good. How about APM tools? Does anyone use APM tools within their organization? So something like New Relic, App Dynamics, Application Performance Management. Couple here. All right. Network monitoring. Who has network monitoring tools deployed? All right. And kind of presumably, like there's a bunch of other tools as well, like VCOPS and so on. Like a few tools there. Yep. All right. So this session is called Microsoft Monitoring Past, Present, Future, Rebooted. I have my colleague to thank for coming up with the title and then saying to me, "You can talk about this, can't you, Rich?" I was like, "Yeah, I probably can." So fortunately, the content is by me. My name is Richard Benwell. We're going to be having kind of hopefully an honest conversation about SCOM, OMS, and enterprise monitoring in general. I don't work for Microsoft or represent Microsoft. I'm not trying to sell you anything Microsoft. It is a vendor talk, so I'm kind of going to be mixing a bit about Squared Up and a bit about kind of the broader landscape of monitoring. I'm founder of Squared Up, and I've sort of reached the age now where I can start talking about how many years experience I have. So I have sort of over 12 years experience designing and developing monitoring software. I was formerly a developer and then an architect at Citrix Systems, so developing their monitoring tools. And hopefully either of you know us, or if you get to know us, you'll find out that Squared Up is a different kind of vendor, certainly for the enterprise space. We're fully sort of self-funded, so we're driven by ambition and big ideas, right? We've got innovation rather than just sort of selling the product. We've got a nice web startup culture, so if you do deal with us, you'll find out that we're kind of nice sort of modern, transparent, easy to do business with. Our pricing's up online. You can try the product without being hassled by a sales guy, and so on. And lastly, we're dedicated to building the user experience. That's why we exist. We're not trying to sell you a new monitoring stack. We're not trying to sort of sell you kind of more back end. We're just totally focused on the interface between the data that you already have and your users. So, SCOM. And Microsoft monitoring. This is the past, and we're going to start this with a quick question. Who monitors Citrix with SCOM here? Anyone? Like one person, 2 people. All right, great. I guess the good news. I don't know whether you have the Comtrade Management Pack, but hopefully you've heard the good news that Citrix have just acquired the Comtrade Management Pack. So now, just if you have a Platinum edition of your Citrix licenses, then you have everything you need to monitor Citrix with SCOM. But when I was working at Citrix, so I was responsible for building the Citrix monitoring tools, and I'd go into organizations and sit down with their Citrix administrators, which kind of looked a bit like this. And I'd say, like, what do you need from your monitoring tools for Citrix? And, this is like representative of not just Citrix people, but any other kind of platform stack, where you say, we need visibility. That's what they always sort of said. And what they meant by that is just, they wanted to know before their users did. Like if something crashed, they used this phrase of eyes on. We want a dashboard just to know that everything's good, everything's green. And then of course we want to report on things to kind of keep the boss happy, make sure he knows that he's getting the best Citrix experience and so on. So I was like writing down all of these requirements for the Citrix monitoring tools. And then I kind of saw their Outlook open. And I said, "You guys have got SCOM, right?" It's like, "How do you know?" It's like, "Well, you got that many unread email alerts from SCOM. It's like, I know you've got SCOM." It's like, "Oh yeah. So why don't you use that? Why don't you use SCOM? That can do all your monitoring. It can send you an alert when the service crashes and give you a dashboard, and you can write reports in it. So why don't you use SCOM?" That's really the response. "SCOM? You must be joking." Right? Their experience of SCOM was slow. Even when they did get access to it, it was too complicated. They didn't know how to get what they needed out of the tool. So that's sort of really the genesis of Squared Up, was kind of realizing that we didn't need to build a Citrix monitoring tool. We perhaps just needed to build a better user interface on top of SCOM and the data they already had. So that was just the Citrix guys. Then you get to speak to the boss, and he's pretty angry guy. It's not just the sort of Citrix team saying, "Oh, we need specialist monitoring tools." You got all their teams saying, "We need specialist monitoring tools." SQL guys, the Hyper-V guys, the network guys. You name it, right? There's all these tools, and then just the boss has no visibility of really what's going on in his IT department. If an app goes down, which one of these tools do you look at? Which team do you go to? Everyone's struggling with IT complexity. It's only going to get more complex. The boss is under a pressure in a number of different places, and really just has this sort of fragmented monitoring tool set. And that really is not just the state of SCOM, but of enterprise monitoring. A real hashtag monitoring sucks. Right? Kind of anyone involved in IT, anyone who's touched monitoring generally kind of goes along with this and knows what we're talking about. So that's sort of the past. That's kind of where certainly I saw monitoring when I started Squared Up. Next question. Remember your orange wristbands. Who wants to win a Lego Sandcrawler? That was pretty fast.
Actually, there's a lady in the cream.
Yeah. There you go.
It's the first up. So first hand in the air was you. Over here. Definitely a SCOM administrator. I'm sure I've got that feeling.
All right, well done. Cool. So where were we? That's it. Unloved SCOM, right? Hopefully, probably there's a lot of kind of sort of similar feeling, around kind of SCOM in the past. Unused data and this sort of fragmented monitoring story that's sort of well recognized. But you know what? SCOM is actually quite awesome. It's actually really cool. On the agent, you've got loads of technology packed in there. You just kind of decades of man years kind of on this that Microsoft put into it. They know their stuff. They know how to write a really highly optimized agent. They know how to give you kind of all of your enterprise sort of management tools. They know how to make it extensible with management packs. They've got a great data model underpinning everything. They've got an awesome data warehouse sitting there with sort of over a year's worth of data, which has been kind of groomed, aggregated, and so on. Right? It's a really cool platform. It's the platform that we were always trying to build in Citrix for our Citrix administrators. But it was already built and was already deployed everywhere. Microsoft has done a great job with it. And there's a whole lot more. So great product, just don't mention the user interface. So really to sort of make the most of SCOM, we need to modernize the user experience and unlock the value. And so that brings us to the present. Squared Up 2.3, one of our latest releases, kind of out just a couple of months ago. The goal with Squared Up 2.3 was to go from 0, so from just your base SCOM deployment, to specialized HTML5 dashboards for your entire infrastructure. And the goal was not just to achieve that, so not just to kind of convert the value of SCOM, it was to make it so easy you could do this in under 10 minutes. And actually, I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to kind of get stuck in with a demo. Not a lot of vendors will probably demonstrate their install experience and setup experience. It's something we're very proud of. It's something we think is very important because you might be sort of sitting here and kind of when you see the results, you might think, well, that's great, but it's just another tool that I've got to deploy and sort of get budget for. I want to show you how easy it is to get started with Squared Up. So what I'm going to do on my demo rig, I'm going to have literally just a Squared Up, a System Center Operations Manager lab, just like you might have, or your real production, a spare web server, and that's it, nothing else. So demo time. Let's get started. So I've got a SCOM lab here. This is my web server. I'm just going to show that I've got SCOM installed, and go to the SCOM web console. So this is the sort of Silverlight. Ah, yeah, cool. All right, good spot. There you go. That's not a great size. So that's the SCOM web console. Yep, that's an error there. I couldn't get it working before the demo, but that's not sort of an unusual experience either. So let's minimize that. I haven't got my full screen here. Let's have a go. Here's the Squared Up installer. So just a plain web server. I'm just going to fire up the Squared Up installer. Hit next, and it's going to start installing. It'll even install all the sort of prereqs for me. So this literally is, go to our website, grab the free trial, 30-day free trial, download this onto a spare web server and get going. Yeah, go ahead.
Do your web server need to be in the same domain as your management server?
It does, yes. So it's going to be using exactly the same API that the SCOM web consoles use and the management console. So it does need to authenticate with the management server that it's connecting to.
Does it help if you get a gateway server?
Yeah, so you can't put Squared Up in a sort of DMZ, without any authentication, but you can sort of put it behind a gateway server. It's got to either be in the same domain or in a sort of trusted domain.
You get a bit trusted, right?
Yeah.
Because you have 4 domains and the SCOM gateway servers for those domains. So you can't connect to a gateway server then that parses.
No, unfortunately not. No, it's got to be through to a management server. At the end of the day, and we'll kind of talk about this in a bit, so we're going to be logging on to Squared Up, and then Squared Up's going to be connecting to SCOM as us, right, using our identity, so we need to be able to authenticate with the SCOM management server. So you can see here it's asked me for the management server address, so this does have to be a management server rather than a gateway. Typically you can install Squared Up on the same server as you have your SCOM web consoles installed, or on your management server itself. It's pretty flexible, and that's it. So that's Squared Up installed. I've got to do nothing else. It's already sort of seen where the management server was, and we should be ready to go. Now I'm going to switch over to a local browser, just because that makes the experience just a little easier. If I can, there you go. All right, so this is the same instance. I'm just going to log on as a SCOM administrator. So this is all your existing data, all your existing infrastructure. No new users to control. It's literally drop it in, and you can start using Squared Up. Just need to put in my free trial key. This is the slowest bit. It's just going to go off and activate the key. And you can see there the other steps. It's just going to ask me for my data warehouse server. It's going to set up open access, which we'll talk about in a second, and then I'm ready to get started. So create permissions on the data warehouse. So now I can pull out data from my data warehouse as well as from SCOM. And next, set up open access. So open access is going to allow us to share dashboards across our organization without the users authenticating, and we'll come to that in a second. So we've just sort of set that up, and we're ready to get started. So that's it. From just having a spare web server, I now have Squared Up installed in my environment, sitting on top of all of that great SCOM data. I'm going to come back to this page in a second, but I'm going to show you just straight out of the box. If I want to report on the C drive of one of my SQL servers, I can search across my entire infrastructure, find the C drive on one of my SQL servers. I'm going to drill down into it and see the health of that disk drive. And if I want to run, for example, a disk space report on the amount of free space available, I've got that all instantly with Squared Up. So I've done nothing else apart from just literally install Squared Up as you saw me do. I've got now a year's worth of data sitting there in the data warehouse for the disk drive on this server. If I want to grab that and export that into Excel, I can do that really simply. So you can already push this out to your users without any extra work. You just put Squared Up on top of SCOM, and now all of your IT teams have access to all of this sort of amazing data that's been sitting there in your SCOM data warehouse and been collected for over a year. Really, like normally, kind of most people kind of just pick up even this, get very excited, and really sort of transforms how people see SCOM within your environment. But what we want to do is finish off sort of setting up and put a layer now of dashboards on top of all of that data we have in SCOM. So we give you some dashboards to get started, but really what you want to do is head off to our community dashboard site, so community.squaredup.com, and here you'll find dozens and dozens of dashboards created by experts and free to use. So these are going to be created by our partners, our customers, MVPs, anyone who sort of knows their stuff, creates a dashboard for you, and you just simply download these dashboards into your environment. So I'm just going to download a SCOM one. That's obviously a good place to start. So that's downloaded as a zip file. Let's see what else I'm going to have here. Let's have capacity. grab another capacity usage, that'll do as well. If I have, say, the OpsLogix management pack for Oracle, there's the OpsLogix Oracle dashboard that accompanies that management pack. So going to browse through this, download all of the dashboards I want, and I'm just going to switch back to Squared Up here, and I'm ready to import those into my environment. So I'll grab.
You have tested these dashboards, right? It's not just like community.
So as they're contributed by the community. We then do some level of verification. We don't have like large Oracle infrastructures to test on, but we do verify, the dashboard to some extent, and we sort of work with sort of other MVPs and other partners to help us sort of verify these dashboards. We will be doing a kind of level of sort of endorsed by, verified by Squared Up in the future, so you kind of know which ones are kind of the best dashboards. But otherwise, this really is a kind of community effort, right? So we want contributions by the community, and then we want the community to be rating these dashboards as well. So I just clicked that zip file that I just downloaded. It got uploaded to the Squared Up web server, deployed, and then I browsed to that dashboard all within a couple of seconds. So that's my new SCOM dashboard. That looks pretty good. And then let me just go back, and I'm going to import my capacity planning dashboard as well. So I downloaded that second one there. So it's just a zip file, gets uploaded to the Squared Up web server, deployed, unpacked. And there you go. I've now got a capacity report across my entire IT infrastructure. So servers using high CPU, low CPU, and so on. So I can quickly kind of spot areas where I need to right size my servers. So really, really easy to get started. Even easier, almost, to build your own dashboards. So you can download all those community dashboards. But what if I want to build a dashboard of my own? So here I'm going to, for example, just put together a dashboard with a group of servers. So typically what our customers do is create a dashboard for each one of their applications that they're monitoring. So I'll start with some servers there. So they're the servers in my CRM application. So that was pretty easy. I can duplicate that section, and let's just show also the alerts for these servers. So great, I've already got the alerts, and then I think let's have some performance data for these servers. So I just add a split. Just going to put in performance here as well. Ooh, let's go back and put in some graphs. Same group of servers. So all of that data in the data warehouse is now available to me in my dashboard designer. So every metric available, and you can see there are sort of just hundreds of metrics available across all of your servers. If I just want to show, for example, processor information on all of those servers, very easy to do. If I want to also monitor disk space, often a cause of applications going down, I'm just going to change this to a bar chart. It doesn't change very often. And I'm just going to put in disk space here. Let's also do a top N on this. So I don't want to know about all of them. I just want to know about the 3 lowest disk space. So I can see actually one there that has just over 6% disk space remaining. And that's it, right? So click, click, click. There's my dashboard published. I've got to name that, so let's call that CRM. And it's ready to push out. Now I can grab that URL, send that to the owner of this application, the infrastructure team kind of managing this application. They have access to Squared Up like any other user. So really, really simple to kind of create these dashboards and share them out. If I wanted to create a dashboard perhaps that I wanted to share out to my entire organization, so for example, if I wanted to report on the availability of all of my services, I've set up just some tests here for all of my IT services. So there you go. So they're all my IT services tested from the outside in. So these are synthetic transactions, testing each one of those applications to make sure it's available. If I want to show that as an uptime, I just choose my service level objective here that I'd set up in SCOM already. And we should get some nice dials showing everyone what's the uptime of all of our IT services. So as you'll see, I'm building on top of the SCOM data. All of this sort of data was in SCOM already. It's not like Squared Up has magically created these application availability tests. This is something I'd set up in SCOM already, but was struggling to kind of get out to the rest of my my users or sort of send up to my boss. So there you go. Click, click, click. I've got myself an uptime report. Now, if I do want to kind of get this out more broadly across my organization, perhaps this is something I want to share with all of my users so they can see that one of the applications is down, so don't phone up the service desk, we know it's down. Then I can choose to publish this as an open access dashboard. Single checkbox there, I'll just add it into the nav bar, hit publish. Now this dashboard is available not just to users of SCOM, people with permissions to access this data in SCOM, but to everyone in my organization. I'm just going to show you that generating. So with this URL here, I can send that out to anyone in my organization. I can embed it in a SharePoint page. I can put it wherever I want, and anyone will be able to get to this information. So it's a nice open access dashboard. You can see it's just taking a little while to render the first time. That's because actually this dashboard is being rendered on the server side. You see here it's an image, right? So on the server side, it's rendering this dashboard and then just serving up as a simple PNG. And that means this can scale across thousands and thousands of users. Anyone wanting to see this data just has to hit this URL. They don't need permissions. It's nice and secure because they're not getting access to the actual data. And you can scale this up to really thousands of users. So it's as simple as that. Let me just sort of show you. If I copy that URL. So I'm just opening up a incognito tab here, right? So this is I'm not logged into Squared Up anymore because this is a new browser session. And I'm just going to paste that same URL in, and you'll see. Firstly, it comes up immediately because it's cached. Okay, so that dashboard's already been generated. So if now 1,000 users go hit this dashboard, it's already there. You'll also see in the top right, I'm not sure, is that coming up on the screen? Yeah, just about. And it just updated there. It said last updated 13:02:38, which is now because it just updated. So that's going to update every minute. And so the data is live. Data is fresh, just like the other dashboards. They just update in the background every minute. Even though it's an image, even if you resize your browser, it gets re-rendered and resized for you. So user experience is great. It's a live dashboard, but using technology to mean that this can really scale. And again, this is with the deployment I literally just installed. Right, no extra work here. It was that one checkbox to now distribute this out to my entire organization. If you want to put this into SharePoint, there's no kind of extra work to do for anyone. Really, probably the only thing you want to do if you put it into SharePoint is make it an embeddable version. So I click the share icon here. I make it embeddable. I'm just going to generate myself a URL. Let's preview that URL. And you'll see here this is going to be a version of the same dashboard, but with the navigation bar trimmed off. So this is perfect for now embedding into, say, for example, a SharePoint section. So you can now push this data out to anyone in any web portal. So that's a bit of a whirlwind tour of installing Squared Up and getting ready. There's absolutely loads more, including sort of Visio diagrams and integration, more performance data and SLA, and a lot of drill downs as well. What I'd suggest is just heading over to our stand after this session, and you can get a full walkthrough. So that's available right now. That's the present, right? This is what we have available. Starts at $5,000, just over 3,000 euros to kind of get started with this. Very affordable, very easy to get going. There's a 30-day free trial. Some quotes, like this is the sort of stuff we hope to hear from customers, like instant success, huge increase in the use of SCOM. Like going back to that story, like SCOM's there, it's got all the data, just needs to be unlocked. It's a must-have. There's a lot of love to share. Really good stuff. Loads of clients around the world already, including here in Norway. And as I say, like priced for every SCOM deployment. This is not highly sort of specialist, kind of complex, expensive tool to go on top. We're here to convert SCOM and the value in SCOM and to make monitoring work, right? We want monitoring to rock, not to suck. So we really want everyone to have this tool. So don't just take my word for it. I'm going to invite up on stage one of our customers here in Norway. When we visit customers, you often see like the dirty side of IT, right? Because we're in monitoring business, so we're all about things breaking. And you go and see some customers, or you kind of hear about their environments, and it feels a bit like that. We've even had cases where in customer meetings, it's a bit more like this, and people have rushed out of the room because Exchange is on fire. We walked into our customer here in Norway. The customer's Intility. They're out there on the stand as well, and it kind of felt a bit more like this. A really well-tuned environment, and really, like, I'm not just saying this because they're coming up on stage. This really was how it felt. Like everything's kind of humming very nicely. It's a well-oiled machine. So kind of really nice customer. Really kind of using data amazingly well, not just Squared Up, but other kind of data sources as well, to make sure they're in total control of their IT organization. So please kind of welcome up on stage Martin Ernst from Intility. One other little thing to say about Martin is he's the author of our top-rated community dashboard that I downloaded during the demo there. So not just running a nice IT organization, but contributing to the community as well. So Martin, over to you.
Okay, I'm on. Yeah. Thank you, Richard. I'm Martin Ernst. I work as a systems engineer in Intility, specializing in operations manager and monitoring. The first things I'm going to do is to answer a few questions. So, who are Intility and what do we do? Intility is a managed cloud service. We offer unlimited and scalable access to compute, storage, and network. We are constantly integrating with other public clouds like Salesforce, Office 365, Azure, and so on. The next question is why monitoring is extremely important to Intility. Since we are on behalf of more than 500 customers using Intility, we are responsible for around 3,000 servers and several hundred applications. We are delivering Active Directory, Exchange, and Skype as a service to 15,000 users, and then monitoring becomes extremely important. So, as Richard said, do we only use Operations Manager? No. Operations Manager and Squared Up are part of a monitoring tool set, which includes Splunk for big data log analysis and SolarWinds dedicated for network monitoring. We chose to run Operations Manager for a reason. IT today requires more and more service or application focused monitoring. It's not the ping or ICMP isn't sufficient enough. And since Operations Manager are so flexible, we chose to run this as one of our main monitoring tools. And the last question is, before we go into some live or actually screenshots of our dashboards in Squared Up, is why we chose to run Squared Up on top of Operations Manager. But by the demo that Richard just showed, I believe you have some you can see why we are choosing to run a tool to show the data from SCOM. You would probably try to set up a CEO or CTO or service desk dashboard with the SCOM console, or you find it complex to drill down from the alert to actual problem. So I have some few examples on dashboards that we created with Squared Up, and we still use this every day. This first one is actually a wall monitor. It's displayed in our monitoring department. It's made from a Visio drawing, and all the 6 dots are represented by a distributed application in SCOM. What you see here is that Exchange has a warning state at this when I took this screenshot. And through the other slides, you can see how this reflects in our views. Like, instance, the overview dashboard, which is used by our monitoring team. This is consistent of a few bits. It's got the application status, like the Exchange, which is also in warning state here. And at the bottom right, we have a Google map overlay with wire data coming from SolarWinds, which we are displaying here with an iframe plugin. So that data is live in the iframe plugin from SolarWinds, and we also have some disk and server status. So with 3,000 servers, I think this is pretty well tuned, don't you? Exchange, as I said, we are delivering as a service to 15,000 users, and our Exchange team has made a dashboard with to monitor their environment. You can see now why. I don't know if we can see it, but you can see we have client access server role in a warning state, which is also why the whole application is in warning at the other slides. And we got one alert representing client access, which is an Exchange certificate is about to expire. So immediately we can see that warning state will eventually become a critical state when this certificate expires and users are not able to log on. Next one is also one of our as a service application, Skype for Business. This is used by our UC&C department. They have chosen to show some synthetic transactions and alerts. Other than that, they have some performance metrics that I don't know really what's doing, but I guess it's something to monitor how conferencing and phone calls are going. Other than that, there are some simple metrics with disk usage and CPU and so on. Before I let Richard continue, I have one last view to show. This is a application dashboard. This particular one is from SMS Passcode, which is a self-service portal for Intility customers and employees to log on and reset their account password with two-factor authentication and so on. We have all the components, and we have some metrics with transaction response time, processor, and stuff like that. But in the middle, we have a SLA, and we have a topology. The topology makes us quickly identify where the problem arises. Is it in a back-end, front-end, or is it a web test or synthetic transaction? And this is also made from a Visio drawing, so it will change to yellow or red or whatever status it has in SCOM, green, of course. So that's all that I wanted to show. I hope you have some inputs on what Squared Up can do for you and in a real-world scenario.
Great. Thanks, Martin. And Martin will be around at the end. All right, great. So that's everything we have kind of right now and available, and you've sort of seen it live there in the customer environment. So what we want to talk about next is the future, and hopefully this is the kind of more exciting stuff. If you thought that was good, you haven't seen anything yet. So what are the sort of future monitoring challenges? I guess you've been here the last kind of couple of days, looking at what's coming from sort of Microsoft and enterprise IT. You've got obviously like moving workloads up into the cloud. That's kind of a matter of like how much and how soon. But also the cloud is proving to be a sort of competitive landscape, both sort of across cloud organizations, but with on-prem as well, right? As an IT organization, you're now competing with your users going to consume, Dropbox or kind of some other cloud service. If you're running Hyper-V infrastructure or VMware infrastructure, you're now kind of competing with whether you can get those sort of VMs just from Azure or another IaaS service. So you there's more kind of competitive kind of landscape you're looking at, and probably your organization is looking to be kind of more agile as well, sort of full DevOps, or certainly trying to be sort of more agile, more kind of quick to kind of compete and offer your users a modern computing experience. And then really what that means for monitoring is there's going to be sort of more emphasis on measuring service delivery. If you are the boss or you have your boss there, they'll probably wanting to know how are we doing as an IT department? Are our services available? What's the quality of service like? So there's kind of more pressure there to kind of think about IT not just as boxes, but as applications and services. In terms of kind of new capabilities, there's been a little bit at this event about what's coming from Microsoft. And really like the sort of three kind of different areas you're looking at are APM, so application performance management, analytics, log analytics, cloud analytics, and data visualization. And certainly from Microsoft, you know, they have solutions in each of those areas. And then there are other sort of third-party solutions. Martin there mentioned Splunk, which is sort of equivalent to OMS. App Insights is an APM offering like New Relic and so on. And you'll be hearing kind of more about Power BI as a general business intelligence and data visualization tool. So there's a lot coming. But what we want to do is sort of talk about whether, you know, these are going to solve the challenges, or whether really actually we've got sort of challenges already and we can fix them with the tools we have. So first of all, I wanted to talk about OMS. I think from that kind of poll earlier, there's not a lot of people who are actively using OMS, but OMS is Microsoft's new monitoring platform. It's up in Azure. It's using your Microsoft monitoring agent, and it's sending up a vast amount of data from each one of your servers up into Azure. So kind of collecting that as just a vast sort of data set up in Azure. And you've got everything from, you know, every single change going on your servers, all the kind of security events. You've got performance data going up, all of your logs from IIS and other applications, wire data and so on. They've got an absolutely sort of amazing kind of roadmap of data kind of going up into OMS. So you've got this massive data source up there with the potential to provide a lot of answers. But at the moment, OMS is just this very large data store. There's no sort of concept of applications in OMS or sort of discovery or sort of your configuration data. You can't ask OMS about, you know, your SQL servers, because OMS doesn't know what servers are SQL servers and what aren't. It's just collecting lots of data. So potential of a lot of answers there, but no context. Doesn't help you ask the right questions. So in our view, it's an exciting new tool, and we're sort of very excited to be sort of working with it as a data source. But it's got limited value as a standalone tool. And you'll hear this sort of phrase coming sort of from Microsoft and from partners around kind of better together. This is a great new technology, but something you're probably going to be using alongside SCOM rather than replacing SCOM with. And from our point of view, in a good way, potentially in a bad way, it's just more data. It's a lot more data, and we think you've already got enough data. So in terms of what we're offering kind of right now is we want to sort of bring the value of SCOM and OMS together to all of your users. So just as you saw us deliver out SCOM data to all of your users across your kind of IT teams, we want to do the same with OMS as well. So taking SCOM and the SCOM console, you might get 2 or 3 users on that currently, right? It might be probably the SCOM administrators who are using SCOM. Pretty much no one else in the organization is using SCOM apart from the alert inbox they have in Outlook. Same really is true of OMS. You set up OMS, collects a lot of data. You're going to have another 2 or 3 users using OMS, seeing the value in it, but of a kind of very limited audience. Our goal with Squared Up is to put that very, very kind of easy to consume HTML5 layer on top of those data sources, push it out to any device, bring in other data sources, whether that's other web content or other data sources, and then push that out to all of your IT teams. So everyone's getting value out of all this data that you're collecting. Just as a sort of brief demonstration, I'm not going to do a full demo of the OMS plugin. I just wanted to kind of talk through roughly how it works. Here's an application dashboard, a little bit like how Martin showed his. Top left, we see the application is unavailable. That's coming from SCOM. So SCOM is running an application availability monitor, so it knows it's down, and it's measuring the availability, which is under 10%. So not a healthy application. SCOM's also telling us about a server problem, critical server problem. So it's the database server that's critical. But why? You know, maybe you have an alert there saying, you know, this is the problem. Maybe not. Maybe you're sort of still unsure of what the root cause is. And at this stage, you're probably RDPing onto the server and going from there. With OMS data, so every change recorded across your environment just sitting up in Azure, and with the OMS plugin for Squared Up, we just add all of the changes to every server in this application at the bottom there, and you can instantly pull out that it was a recent patch. I talked about disk space earlier and the kind of importance of monitoring that. We hear a lot of anecdotes about just servers running out of disk space and the application becomes available. Probably what's the sort of second cause? Well, a change. Someone changed something. It's like a patch, an OS update, or a patch to the application. The application fails, becomes unavailable, or degrades. And normally, to actually sort of find that information out, you're talking about sort of digging around, RDPing onto servers, like maybe just sort of rebooting the server and carrying on. Here you have it right where you need it, which is on your dashboard. So that's available right now in preview. So if you have Squared Up, you can just download the OMS plugin, add it into your dashboards. It's just another data source to bring all of that data together. So that's the future, right? Like more data up in the cloud, and some of those other tools. Well, when we talk to our customers about what are you doing with monitoring, and recently we sort of surveyed customers and partners. This is the response we got when we asked them how long they'd be invested in SCOM for. You can kind of read the numbers, but 2/3 almost are invested in SCOM for kind of 5 years or more. Nearly a quarter are seeing it as sort of long term, beyond sort of 6 years. So people have SCOM, organizations have SCOM, and you're invested in it. It's there, and you kind of probably have this feeling that you could be getting more out of it, and you don't need to rip it out and replace it with the next generation of toolset right now. So customers are heavily invested in SCOM. Microsoft are committed to SCOM. You haven't probably heard much about SCOM in the event kind of this week in Oslo, but Microsoft are coming out with System Center 2016. It'll be keeping up to date with all of their other technologies, so you have more management packs for Azure, Office 365, and so on. There'll be better monitoring of the LAMP stack, so they're kind of keen to make sure they do have cross-platform support. Windows 2016, Nano Server, and so on. They'll be keeping pace with all of that. They'll be adding scheduled maintenance mode, which has been a kind of bugbear for many SCOM customers, and kind of allowing better discovery of management packs within your environment. So if you have workloads that are unmonitored, I think the idea is that in System Center 2016, you'll be sort of prompted to monitor those new workloads. So whilst kind of Microsoft are committed to SCOM and kind of keeping it a nice, relevant platform, we are kind of dedicated to innovating on top of SCOM. We're coming out with a community answers site on top of community dashboards. So if you've struggled with SCOM in the past, like not found the answer for a question, we're going to have it online in our community site. We'll be contributing ourselves new community management packs. We're integrating with OMS, as you've just seen. And what I wanted to talk about now is Squared Up v3 and what else we're doing on top of SCOM. And it kind of goes back to that slide earlier, which is actually SCOM is actually quite awesome, right? We don't need to throw it out just yet. And really, you have already the data you need to troubleshoot your environment, to kind of keep your environment healthy. What you do need, though, is you need that data in front of you at the right time. And this is where sort of SCOM has suffered. And to be honest, this is where probably every monitoring tool has suffered. Data's in different places, and it's certainly not in front of you when you're trying to sort of troubleshoot a specific issue. And so what we wanted to do with V3 is imagine a tool where you did have all the data you need right when you needed it and displayed in a way that makes sense, right? So you're not digging around, you're not RDPing onto servers, you're not just using raw data that doesn't make any sense to you. And we think that really would give you this sort of real-time IT operations intelligence, right? You're not scrabbling around, you're not firefighting, you know what's going on in your environment in real time. So what we want to do is give you a sneak peek of what we're developing with Squared Up v3. The two sort of problems we're really tackling with v3, like in this sort of the right data at the right time, one is application context. So it's no longer about just monitoring servers, it's about monitoring applications and understanding the health of your environment in the context of an application. Martin showed that in some of the dashboards he put up. It's not just about a certificate about to expire, it's that your IT service, depending on that certificate, would become unavailable. So we really wanted to solve this problem of application context. And it's also just something that we hear a lot about from our customers, because applications in a large enterprise environment are difficult. You have a lot of them. You have perhaps applications that aren't owned by anyone in particular. They're just They're just deployed. They're just out there. Someone deployed them at some point. It may be that no one even knows like kind of where they are or what they do anymore. Okay, they're out there. Probably some users are using them, but let's just hope they don't break. You've got legacy kind of infrastructure you're running them on, or you've got very complex applications. You certainly don't have them all diagrammed up in Visio. Like we have Visio integration, but you don't have diagrams for all of these things. And potentially, depending on who deployed that application, you might not even have the knowledge to write that Visio diagram. And CMDBs, well, some people say, yes, we've got everything mapped out in the CMDB, but more likely it's that you're trying to get everything mapped out in the CMDB, but it's not quite there yet. And certainly from a SCOM point of view, the distributed application model just doesn't work. It's too static, it's too cumbersome to use, it's out of date once you've created it. And really then what we hear is that customers want their applications mapped automatically. We need help figuring out where these applications are, why something's gone down, what happens when we kind of rip out one server, what applications are going to be affected. So in V3, we'll be introducing visual application discovery. I'll show you this live in a second, but just in summary, it's going to allow you to visually discover and map your applications. We recognize that the sort of information about where those applications are is in nowhere in particular. It's going to have to come from multiple data sources. So you might have something modeled in your SCOM distributed applications. You might have something in your CMDB. You might need wire data. You might need live data coming in about what's connected to what. And certainly you can also discover what's going on in your network on demand. And then once you've created these models, the idea is that you can obviously use them when you're creating your dashboards as well. So having discovered an application, you want to then preserve that and reuse that in your dashboard. So you're going to have a topology visualization in Squared Up. The other problem we're trying to sort of solve with V3, that we think is really sort of fundamental to the use of SCOM data, is specialized views. Everything I've sort of shown you to date, those nice dashboards and what sort of Martin showed you, was nice kind of authored dashboards on top of your SCOM data. So those dashboards were designed to make sense to whoever was responsible for that application. But when you drill down from there, you get back to generic data. You get back to generic alert data or server data or performance data. And it means that with generic views on top of that data, you have users not engaging with the product and with the data. And you kind of get this vicious circle. Okay, you got sort of noisy data coming out of your sort of generic centralized monitoring tool like SCOM. Your users think it's not relevant. They don't really trust it, right? They turn away. They ignore those alerts coming in, 100 every day, and they start using their own tools. They're not engaged with SCOM. This is exactly what I saw when I was talking to the Citrix admins. And because they're not engaged, it's not tuned. So this is the vicious circle, right? You don't have your Citrix admins or your DBAs or your SharePoint admins helping you tune SCOM to make sure the data is relevant. So it's not relevant, and so on. So people turn away from it, and they go start using specialized tools. To actually get your users engaging with SCOM, the data's got to be relevant, and if it's relevant, then it's trusted, and they engage with it, they help tune it, and then you get actionable data. So the specialized views are at the heart of this, taking that data and making sure it's relevant, making sure that when users see that data, they think it makes sense to them. And to do that, we're going to be introducing a brand new architecture called Dynamic Dashboard Architecture. Dynamic Dashboard Architecture makes everything in your environment have a dashboard. So what we just showed there was those high-level global dashboards. This is an application. This is all of your SQL servers. With V3, everything in your environment will have a dashboard. So a server, a network device, a disk, a database, an API that you're testing, even alerts will have a dedicated dashboard that's showing you the data that you need for that particular context. And by dashboards, I mean, dashboards are generated dynamically, like based on the content, so you don't have to go write each one of these dashboards. You can grab a dashboard from the community that's going to show you data for a SQL server, and then that will be shown for every SQL server in your environment. So these dashboards are dynamically generated based on the context, and SCOM knows a lot about your environment. SCOM's discovered everything in your environment, knows everything there is to know kind of about what's running in your environment. So it has a lot of context. And then with each dashboard, you have the full dashboard capabilities. Any visualization, any data source, everything you've just seen in the demos, you can now do across all of your IT. So you will end up with all the data you need right when you need it, shown in a way that makes sense, and have this kind of real-time intelligence. So demo time. This is kind of the second demo. This is pre-beta code. It's not kind of released, so wish me a little bit of luck. Let's see how much of this is working. So I'm switching over to our V3 environment. Let's just refresh that, and hopefully, if this works, we should be good. We're actually connecting all the demos I've just shown you are actually connecting back over to a lab in the UK. So this is kind of reasonable. Sorry, yeah, reasonable sort of performance. That's right. It's just refreshing. So you didn't miss anything. Cool. All right. So connecting back to the UK. So this is what it is like running Squared Up sort of remotely to a remote data center. And this is our service status dashboard. So nothing new here. This is kind of like what Martin showed. His version was a bit prettier than this. But here are all of our applications monitored by SCOM. Now I wanted to drill down into this demo lab application in a second. But what I wanted to show you first is, well, if we're sort of monitoring this application, maybe just something's come in from the service desk about this application, then how can we discover this application? So I'm just going to come up here and hit the plus button. Now, this is our dashboard designer, like we saw before. But we've now got a new plugin that's going to allow us to dynamically discover applications and how they're constructed. So I'm going to start by putting in a server. So I've got an issue here, and I know that I've got a web server involved. So this is actually a Squared Up web server, right? So I'm kind of going to model out what Squared Up is looking like as an application. So I've got my primary Squared Up web server. So I know this is involved in the application. So I put that on my canvas. So I've searched for that in SCOM and put that on top of my canvas. And now what I can do by dynamically querying that server and saying, what are you connected to? I can find out what other components are part of this application. So I've just queried that server, what are you connected to? Well, I can see actually that I've got a connection coming in, and I've got a connection going out. So from IIS worker process, so that's essentially the website, connecting out to my SQL server. So that makes sense because Squared Up connects to my SQL server. I've also got Squared Up, the IIS worker process, connecting to SCOM, and that makes sense because Squared Up connects to the SCOM management server. So you can kind of see already that I'm mapping out what this server's doing in real time, and I can do that across any applications and servers I like. So kind of expand out this. I'll see also that server is connecting to a lot of stuff. Let me just hit refresh and go back to that original server. It's not just, in this sort of day and age, it's not just applications deployed within your environment. It could be that this application is consuming a cloud service as well, and you have visibility of that. So if I just turn off filtering and sort of say, what else is this connected to? I can see actually that my Squared Up web server is connecting up to some cloud services. So these aren't monitored by SCOM. In fact, this is OMS, I think. So my Squared Up server is connecting out to OMS, and I've got another connection out here, again going up to the cloud. And if I wanted to, I could now put a watcher on one of those IP addresses or the web address. So I could say, actually, that external service is critical to my application. I don't monitor it, I don't own it, but I can certainly monitor the availability of it. So by exploring what your servers are connected to and then mapping that out, you can actually construct an application topology diagram. So what I'm going to do actually is just switch back to my services dashboard and show you one I created earlier. So let's come back to this, and I want to drill down into this demo lab. So this is the application I sort of mapped out already. So I drill down into this demo lab. This is sort of the dashboard I expect to see with V3. So V3, Squared Up V3 knows that this is an application availability test, so it can tell me what I need to know about this particular application. I can see that it's currently available and got 100% uptime. I can see the response time of the application. I've even got a live preview of the application. As you see, we're monitoring SCOM here. So this is using an iframe, so it's the browser is going off, actually connecting to the application and showing you a live preview of that application in your dashboard. So that's great. I know it's up and I know it's responding pretty well. I'm putting in data from other data sources though, because I want to see this all in the same place. So I'm putting in data here from my service desk. So I can see what are my open service desk tickets for this application. Okay, so I've got visibility of what my users think the health of this application is. And even right at the top level dashboard, I've got visibility of the changes going on in this application. So this is coming from OMS. We're querying all of the servers that we know are connected to this application. And we can see here my SCOM server's up. So I've got some new dashboard, new management packs being deployed onto SCOM. I've got some changes to SQL. So I've had some OS updates to SQL. So right on that top level dashboard, I've got a pretty good idea about the health, availability, and changes of this application. And that's the kind of customization and information you'd expect with Squared Up v3. Now, if I want to understand how this application is constructed, I can switch over to my topology view, which is going back to our neat topology plugin. Now, this time, because we know about this application, we want to also see the health of the application in our topology view. So I've already sort of mapped this out. It's saved in SCOM. So I know that my test here, so this is my availability test where I can see uptime and response time is connected to a load balancer. Load balancer looks healthy, ping time's good, and the connections are good. So let's expand that out, and I can see that it's load balancing 2 Squared Up web servers. They're both showing as healthy from SCOM and have good metrics. So I'm going to expand out both of those as well. And now we start to see maybe what's going on here. So got a load balanced Squared Up deployment connecting out to SCOM. SCOM connects out to that SQL server as well. And I've got my data warehouse on the SCOM database sitting on this SQL server that's showing red. So even from that topology view, I may get a sense of what's going on. So having mapped out that application, I now no longer have to RDP onto the boxes, figure out, phone up someone like, what server's part of this application. I see it in front of me. If I want to troubleshoot this database, I now drill down. Now this is where, in the current version of the product, you'll get to that generic data and where your SQL DBA might start switching off because he's not seeing the data he needs. Squared Up v3, we have a dynamic dashboard. We've drilled down to a SQL server. SCOM knows it's a SQL server because it's discovered SQL running on it. And we have a Squared Up dashboard for SQL servers. So within that view there, we've now got a top to bottom view of this health of the server. Starting at the top, we've got obviously alerts. We've got all of our SQL metrics that our DBA asks for, so CPU, page life expectancy, buffer cache hit ratio, and so on. But because it's SCOM, we know about all of our environment. We know the hypervisor that this SQL server is running on. We've got the hypervisor metrics as well. And really, there are very few other tools that can give you such a breadth of information as SCOM can. And really, with SCOM extensibility, you can really monitor anything. And it's Squared Up now is going to allow you to pull that all into that single pane of glass to allow you to troubleshoot things right when you need it. So that's my performance overview. Maybe my DBA can figure out what's going on here. But there are other views, there are other perspectives. If I want to kind of get more of a lower level view of like what's going on from a database point of view, I change my perspective to a database view of this server, and I get to see all of the databases running on the server. Again, all monitored by SCOM. Every single database on the server is monitored by SCOM. In addition to all of that data from SCOM and OMS and everywhere else, we can pull data on demand. So a SQL DBA will probably say, well, my next step would be to run what are the long-running queries on this database. We can do that automatically. So live data coming on demand from your SQL server via the SCOM agent, we can see exactly what's going on this server. So it's actually like SCOM itself, inserting a lot of data into my data warehouse is what's putting most load onto this server. But I can show other views. I can audit this server. Tell me what changes have happened recently. Tell me who's logged on to this server. I don't need to switch to another tool. I don't need to RDP onto the server. I can see exactly what the config changes have been and whether anyone's been sort of interactively kind of logging onto this server and making any changes. Maybe I want to know where this server is. Maybe it's like sitting in a data center, but kind of which data center? Maybe it's kind of a problem with the hardware. That's no problem. Do we want to see where in the world it is? Using Google Maps, we can do that. Do we want to see a rack diagram that we've drawn up in Visio? We can do that. Again, all these different slices and these perspectives all coming in to the same tool. No need to hop around different tools. You've got all the data already. You've got the data. You might have the Visio diagrams. You certainly might know where the location of each server is, so you can map it out onto Google. It's not a problem. So you have these dynamic dashboards that are putting all the data you need into the same place at the same time. So we can do this for servers, like we've seen. We can do it for network devices, databases, disks, kind of you name it. We can even do it for alerts. And this is kind of, I think, where it gets really interesting, because it's exactly where, again, people turn off, which is like, I've got a high CPU alert from SCOM. Great. Like, should I do anything? Is an application affected? Like, what should I do if I should do anything? And when you get a high CPU alert, what is it you do want to know? Right? High CPU, what do you want to know? Well, you probably want to know maybe sort of two things. You want to know, well, yeah, what is high CPU? You know, is it like really high? Is it like being sort of pegged at 100% for 5 minutes? Or is it just like spiking? And the other thing you probably want to know is, well, what's using that CPU? Dynamic dashboard sitting on top of that alert means that when we get that alert on our phone, on our email client, maybe we're kind of linking through into Squared Up, we see exactly the information we need. So actually CPU is not very high. We've just sort of changed the threshold for the demo. So no panic. If we were concerned, we could check out what's going on here, and we can see it's SQL using CPU. So probably not a problem either. We can even pull out the event log entries from that server. Well, I don't need to RDP onto this server just to see what's going on in the event log. We can pull that in real time within Squared Up. So that's what we're trying to achieve, is this idea of just having the data in front of you kind of when you need it, so that at every point you need to make a decision, you can make a more intelligent decision. It's real-time operational intelligence, not some big tool that's going to churn some numbers in the background and send your boss a report, but IT intelligence for every single one of your IT users. So that's a preview of what's to come. We'll be releasing that later this year, so look out for it. Lots of really exciting things to come. If you're not used Squared Up yet, go grab the download, install it in 5 minutes like I did, grab some dashboards from the community. If you then get ramped up with Squared Up very quickly, which you hopefully will, or you are already a customer, hopefully we'll see you at our workshop in the UK, where we'll be launching V3, giving you a sort of full run-through, hands-on opportunity to get up to speed with the latest. And we'll be sending you away with a beta copy of Squared Up V3 to put into your environment. So if you are interested, kind of save the date, come over to the UK, and hopefully we're going to be doing something pretty special during that launch event. So thanks for listening. I think I've just got to the end of the hour. There's loads more on our website, just squaredup.com/NIC, or come out to the booth on the exhibition floor there, and we'll kind of show you more in detail. All right, thanks for listening.